I remember the first time I held Isla's hand. She laughed at something I said, that soft, careless laugh that made the world shrink down to just the two of us. "You're ridiculous," she said, brushing her hair behind her ear. I grinned. "And yet, you love it." She rolled her eyes but squeezed my hand tighter. That moment, I promised myself I would give her everything she deserved. "Do you ever think about the future?" I asked one evening, our feet dangling off the old pier. Isla smiled, her eyes reflecting the orange sunset. "All the time. But I hope it's with you." Her words burned into me. I'd grown up with nothing but dreams bigger than my apartment, my broken shoes, my empty fridge. But I had Ryan, my little brother, my responsibility. "We'll make it happen," I said. "One day, you won't have to worry about money, about anything." "You always say that." She laughed, leaning against my shoulder. "But I believe you. I did everything for them, Isla and Ryan. I worked 2 jobs, lived on instant noodles, and spent nights scribbling plans for a company I was building in secret. Every line of code, every contract, every late night, it was for them." I imagined the look on Isla's face when I finally told her the truth. Her eyes would light up, and she would finally see me not as a poor man, but as someone who could protect her world. "Dinner tomorrow?" she asked. "I found this tiny place that has the best pasta." "Of course," I said, hiding the exhaustion in my voice. "I wouldn't miss it." And then there was Ryan. My younger brother. My burden and my joy all wrapped into one. "I swear, one day, I'll make sure you never have to struggle," I told him during one of our late-night talks. "You'll have everything you want. Don't work too hard, big brother," he said, his voice tinged with laughter and mischief. "You'll wear yourself out." "Not for you," I said quietly. But the signs had started, small and insidious, though I was too blinded by love and loyalty to notice. Missed calls from Isla that she would later apologize for. Messages I found on her phone that she claimed were from work, though the timing always felt strange. Little cold glances when I asked about her day. I brushed it off every time. I thought, I know them. I know my people. This is nothing. Just stress. Just work. One evening, as I returned from a 12-hour shift, I noticed her phone buzzing non-stop on the kitchen counter. I picked it up without thinking, and the screen showed a name I didn't recognize. "Who's this?" I asked when Isla walked in. "Oh, no one," she said, snatching the phone. "Just a coworker." Her voice was sharp, defensive. Something inside me tightened. I muttered, trying to sound casual. "You don't usually hide coworkers from me." She shrugged, eyes flicking away. "I'm tired." "Don't start." I didn't push. I wanted to believe her, needed to. Love made me blind, and loyalty to family made me stupid. Ryan, on the other hand, was different. I thought I knew him. I thought I could see through his jokes, his laziness, his easy charm. "Big brother," he said one night, leaning over my shoulder as I worked on my laptop, "why do you hide all this from everyone?" "You'll see someday," I replied, keeping my voice light. "I'm doing it for you, for all of us." He smirked but didn't argue. He trusted me. He always had. The weekends were my escape. Isla and I would cook together in the tiny kitchen, her laughing when I burned the eggs or spilled sauce. "You're hopeless," she'd tease. And I'd grin, cleaning up the mess, secretly thrilled by the ordinary happiness. It was the life I wanted to protect. "You always do everything for everyone," she said once, staring at me with that intensity one could never resist. "Do you ever think about what you want?" I paused, spat out a laugh that felt hollow even to me. "I want to see you happy. I want Ryan safe. That's all I need." She shook her head. You deserve more than that, you know. I don't want more, I said. And I didn't. Not if it meant risking them. The truth is, I was building a life that nobody else could see. My startup was growing slowly, quietly, under my name. One day, when Isla and Ryan least expected it, I would reveal everything. They would see the man behind the worn-out clothes, the tired eyes, the humble apartment. They would see someone who could give them the world. But even as I dreamed, cracks were forming. I noticed the way Isla sometimes avoided my gaze. The way Ryan sometimes lingered too long on my screen when I left my laptop open. And yet, I ignored them. I told myself, it's nothing. They love me. They're family. Everything is fine. One night, Isla turned to me after a long day. Do you ever think we're too ordinary? She asked quietly. I blinked. Ordinary? We're happy. That's not ordinary. That's rare. She didn't answer, just smiled faintly. But her smile didn't reach her eyes. I remember lying awake that night, thinking about how my life had been so small, so fragile, yet how I had grown it into something bigger. I had plans, dreams, hope, all bundled into a secret life of sacrifices no one else could see. And I would give it to them, the people I loved the most. Promise me, Isla said, the next evening, leaning against my chest as we watched the city lights flicker. Promise me we'll never fight. Promise me we'll always be together. I promise, I whispered. And I meant it. I always meant it. Even as doubts whispered in the back of my mind, small, fleeting, easy to dismiss, I clung to trust. Trust in her. Trust in Ryan. Trust in the life I had built in silence. I remember thinking, everything is perfect. Everything is going to be fine. And I didn't know it then, but that thought, the one I clung to so desperately, was the first lie I ever told myself. Because perfection is fragile. Love is fragile. And loyalty, sometimes it blinds you to the truth. I wanted nothing more than to believe in the life I was building. I wanted nothing more than to see Isla's eyes light up with pride and love. I wanted Ryan to never feel weak, to always have a brother who would catch him. I believed in them. I believed in myself. But I could feel the first stirrings of a storm. Small, silent signs. Missed calls, secretive looks, laughter that didn't reach her eyes. My heart brushed against suspicion, but I pushed it away. I had faith. I had love. I had dreams. I had no idea how fast it could all shatter. Yet, in that moment, sitting with Isla on the couch, her hand in mine, Ryan's laugh echoing from the next room, I felt untouchable. I felt happy. And I thought that would last forever. I didn't expect the world to end that night. I thought I was walking into my apartment to find normalcy, Isla cooking, Ryan messing around, laughter filling the air. I should have known better. The door creaked. I called out, Isla? No answer. I shrugged. Maybe she was in the shower. I dropped my bag and stepped toward the bedroom. And that's when I saw it. The sight stopped me cold. Isla, my Isla, pressed against Ryan, my little brother, in a way that was too intimate to be innocent. Ryan. Her voice faltered. I swallowed hard, but no sound came out. My chest felt like it had been ripped apart. Stay out of this, Ryan said, pulling back slightly. His eyes met mine, and I didn't recognize them. There was no fear, no guilt, just triumph. What the hell is going on? I managed to croak. Isla froze, her lips trembling. I didn't want you to find out like this. Ryan laughed, a harsh, cold sound. Find out what? That she prefers me? My head spun. You, both, I choked. I trusted you. You trusted me? Ryan repeated, mock disbelief dripping from his voice. I trusted you to be weak. To let us live our lives while you slaved away like a fool. And you fell for it. All of it. Isla whispered, tears forming in her eyes. It's complicated. I never meant to hurt you. I just what? I stepped forward, my fists trembling. Tell me. Just what? She looked away, ashamed. I felt like you were always working, always busy. Ryan, he listened. He made me feel noticed. Noticed? I repeated, disbelief roaring through me. You were with me. You said we'd be together forever. You said. I know, she cried, stepping back. I know what I said. But it didn't feel real sometimes, not with you. Not lately. You were gone all the time. I laughed, a hollow sound that surprised me. Gone? I've built a life for us. Every night, every sacrifice, every penny, it was all for you. For us. Ryan leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, smirking. Maybe she likes a man who has more than empty promises. Empty promises? My voice shook. Do you even hear yourself? She's right, Ryan said, voice softer now. You were always too tired to notice. Too blind to see what was happening in front of you. I just gave her attention. My vision blurred. You betrayed me. Both of you. Isla sank to the floor, covering her face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry? I screamed, pacing. Do you know what sorry does? Do you know what it feels like to have your world, your trust, ripped apart? I didn't mean, she tried, but I cut her off. No. I wanted a life together. A family. A future. And you and him, I stopped, choking on the word. You destroyed it. Ryan's smirk vanished, replaced by a flicker of guilt. It's not like you were perfect. You were always working, always pretending. She just made a choice. A choice. That word hit me like a hammer. A choice over me, over love, over years of loyalty. I wanted to punch him, scream, break something. But I couldn't. My heart was broken in ways that made action impossible. I sank onto the couch, shaking. Why would you do this? You knew how much I trusted you. Isla kneeled beside me. I didn't plan it, it just happened. It just happened? I repeated, voice flat, numb. Do you know what that feels like? To find out the people you love the most are lying behind your back? I'm sorry, she whispered again, but it was empty now. I slammed my fist on the table. Empty doesn't even cover it. Ryan rolled his eyes. Calm down. It's life. People change, people make choices. She's with me now. You can't do anything about it. I looked at him. Really looked at him. The boy I raised. The brother I protected. The brother I thought would never hurt me. And I hated him. I hated him more than I could ever explain. You'll regret this, I said quietly, almost to myself. Ryan laughed. Regret? I doubt it. You're too weak to do anything. Just like always. Isla grabbed my arm. Don't say that. But I couldn't stop. You're my brother. I said, my voice breaking. And you destroyed me. You destroyed us. How could you? How could you betray me like this? Ryan shrugged. Maybe it was always meant to happen. Maybe you weren't enough. I felt something inside me snap. Not a scream, not tears, something colder. I wanted to leave. I wanted to disappear. But mostly, I wanted revenge. Not now, not with fists, not with anger, but a quiet, devastating revenge that would leave them hollow. You'll see, I muttered under my breath, my mind racing. You'll see everything I've done for us. And one day, you'll regret it. Isla looked up at me, confusion in her eyes. What do you mean? I said, standing tall despite the shaking in my chest, that I've been building something. Something you'll never see coming. And when it's ready, it'll change everything. Ryan laughed nervously. What are you talking about? You'll find out, I said, forcing calm into my voice. Just wait. Everything you think you know about me, about us, about your lives, it's about to be rewritten. Isla whispered, please, don't do anything stupid. I shook my head. I'm not talking about stupid. I'm talking about justice. Karma. Call it what you want. But it will come. And you'll feel it. I promise you that. Ryan's smirk returned. You're serious? Deadly serious, I said. I may have been weak tonight, but I'm done being blind. Done being helpless. Done being the guy everyone takes for granted. Isla's eyes filled with tears. I love you. Love? I echoed bitterly. Love didn't stop this. Love didn't make you faithful. Love didn't keep my brother from betraying me. Love is gone, Isla. Ryan's shoulders slumped. What are you going to do? I leaned against the wall, letting the silence fill the room. Do? Nothing yet. I'm not stupid. I'll let you live your life, for now. But everything you've taken from me, everything you've destroyed, it will be returned. Tenfold. You'll understand soon enough. Isla sobbed quietly. Please, forgive me. I'm so sorry. I shook my head. Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't heal the betrayal. You broke me. Both of you. Ryan said nothing. He knew words were useless now. I walked to the door, my legs heavy, my chest tight. I need to think, I said, my voice barely audible. I need to figure out what comes next. You're not leaving us, Isla cried. I am, I said. I'm leaving, because I can't stay here, not now, not after this. I grabbed my bag, ignored their cries, and walked into the night. The cool air hit my face, but it did nothing to ease the fire burning inside me. I wandered the streets aimlessly, my mind spinning with disbelief, rage, and heartbreak. I thought about all the nights I spent building a future for them. All the promises, all the sacrifices. Gone. Shattered. Trampled. And yet, through the pain, something else emerged. A cold, hard determination. Not a blind, angry revenge, but a plan. A way to take back everything they thought they had stolen from me. I would rise. I would wait. And I would make them regret every choice they ever made. That night, I realized, life had ended for me in that apartment. But something else, something stronger, had begun. I spent the night wandering the streets until my legs ached and my mind went numb. Every corner, every shadow, reminded me of what I had lost. Isla. Ryan. My life. I stopped under a flickering streetlight and muttered to myself, how could they do this? How could I be so blind? A homeless man shuffled past. You okay, kid? He asked. I laughed bitterly. No. Not even close. I found myself at the old park bench, the one I used to come to when I needed peace. Now, it only reminded me of betrayal. I sank onto the cold wood, head in my hands. They laughed at me, I whispered. They laughed while I gave everything. Everything. A voice from my phone made me jump. It was a message from Lena, my assistant. Need you at the office tomorrow. Urgent. I stared at it. Lena, the only person outside this nightmare who knew about the company I'd built in secret. My company. My sanctuary. My weapon. I shook my head. I can't, not today. I'm broken. Her reply came almost immediately. Then let me come to you. I didn't respond. I just stared at the dark sky, thinking about how I had been betrayed by the two people I trusted most. The next morning, Lena showed up at my apartment. She didn't knock, didn't wait. She just opened the door. You look like hell, she said, stepping inside. I feel like hell, I admitted, slumping onto the couch. She didn't sit. Instead, she opened her laptop. You can't stay like this. You need a plan. Revenge, or whatever you call it. I'm not ready, I said. Not ready to even think about them. Lena frowned. You have a choice. You can let this destroy you, or you can use it. You built a company from nothing. You have power they'll never see coming. Her words hit me like a slap. Power. I had ignored it, thinking I could live quietly, slowly surprising Isla with it. But now, maybe it wasn't about surprise. Maybe it was about justice. I don't know if I can, I admitted, voice trembling. You can, she said firmly. You're the smartest person I know. Smarter than your brother, smarter than everyone who thinks they've won. I ran my hands through my hair. I wanted love, not this. You'll get both, Lena said quietly. But first, you need to stand. Make a choice. Are you the man who cries over betrayal, or the man who rises above it? I swallowed, feeling something ignite inside me. Something cold, sharp, and clear. I can't, not rise. I can't stay broken. I have to. I have to do something. Lena smiled faintly. Good. First step. That evening, I went through the company files. Contracts, emails, everything. All the work I had done in secret while pretending to be a normal employee. I had built this life quietly, invisibly. And now, it could be my weapon. I muttered to myself, reading the numbers. They think I'm nothing. They think I'm weak. But they don't see this. They have no idea. Ryan's face flashed in my mind. You'll regret this, I whispered. You have no idea what's coming. Isla, my heart ached even as I hardened. I trusted you, I said aloud. I loved you. And you destroyed everything. But I won't let it destroy me. I called Lena. We need to meet. I need help, and I need control. Everything I've built, it has to be ready. She paused on the line. Are you sure? Yes, I said firmly. I can't be the man I was. Not anymore. Not after what they did. The first step was clarity. I had to understand the full scale of the betrayal, but more importantly, I had to understand my own strength. I had underestimated myself. I had underestimated the fire that heartbreak can ignite. I spent days buried in spreadsheets, contracts, and financial reports. Lena came by, bringing coffee, taking notes, helping me organize. You're thinking like a strategist now, she said. I have to, I admitted. If I'm going to survive this, I need more than anger. I need control. I need everything. She nodded. Then we'll get it. At night, I lay awake, thinking about Isla and Ryan. I thought about the way they laughed, the way they looked at me, the betrayal that had shattered my trust. I felt pain, yes, but it was mixed now with something sharper, resolve. I'll take back what's mine, I whispered to the ceiling. Not just the company, not just my life, but everything they think they have. I'll make them see the price of betrayal. The plan was forming, slowly but surely. I would rise, not as the weak man who loved blindly, but as someone unstoppable. Someone they could never hurt again. I walked the streets again that night, but differently. I wasn't wandering aimlessly anymore. I wasn't crying or shouting. I was thinking. Planning. Breathing. I felt the first stirrings of control return to me, steady and precise. Lena had given me the tools. I had the power. And now, I had the fire. I thought about confronting them, yelling, fighting, but no. That wouldn't work. Not yet. I needed patience. I needed strategy. They had destroyed my trust, but they hadn't destroyed me. Not completely. Revenge, I whispered, a smile flickering despite the tears. Not yet. But soon. I remembered my childhood, protecting Ryan, working for a future that never seemed to arrive. I realized I hadn't failed completely. I had built the foundation for something greater. And now, it was time to use it. The next morning, I met Lena at the office. She laid out the financial maps, legal loopholes, contracts, everything Ryan and Isla would be vulnerable to if I decided to act. Everything is here, she said. Your life, your rules. And soon, they'll understand exactly who they crossed. I leaned back, hands trembling. They have no idea what I'm capable of. They think I'm weak. But I'm not. You never were, Lena said softly. You just didn't realize it yet. I stared at her, then at the stacks of documents, the numbers, the evidence of everything I had worked for. I'll show them. I'll make them regret everything. Not because I hate them, not because I want to hurt them, but because they need to understand. And I need closure. I need to rise. Lena nodded. Then start. Step 1. Control your life. Control the situation. Control yourself. I will, I said quietly, almost to myself. I can't fail again. Not after this. I've hit rock bottom, and now, I choose to rise. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than pain, purpose. Determination. A quiet fire that refused to be extinguished. The betrayal that had nearly destroyed me was now the fuel that would build me stronger than ever. And I would make sure Ryan and Isla never forgot it. Because I was no longer the man they betrayed. I was the man they underestimated. And underestimated me, they had. The night stretched long, silent except for my own heartbeat. But inside, a storm was building. Calm, precise, unstoppable. And I whispered to the dark, wait. Just wait. Everything is about to change. I left the city before sunrise, carrying nothing but my laptop, a backpack, and the weight of betrayal. Lena sat beside me in the car, staring straight ahead. You don't have to do this alone, she said quietly. I know, I replied. But I need distance. If I stay, I'll lose focus. She nodded. Then let's rebuild somewhere they'll never think to look. That's how I ended up in a small rented office 3 cities away, working 16-hour days and sleeping 4 hours a night. Silence became my companion. Pain became my fuel. Every morning, Lena would walk in with coffee and say, "Ready to fight the world today?" I'd answer, "Always." We built everything from scratch. Contracts. Software. Partnerships. Every small success added another layer to my armor. One night, I collapsed into my chair and whispered, "They still think I'm nothing." Lena smiled faintly. Good. Let them. I threw myself into work, answering calls, pitching ideas, negotiating deals. Every voice that doubted me only strengthened my resolve. One investor scoffed, "You're too young. Too unknown." I replied calmly, "Then watch me grow." He laughed. 2 months later, he begged to invest. Late one evening, my phone buzzed. Ryan's name flashed across the screen. I stared at it. My chest tightened. "Don't answer," Lena said quietly. I hesitated. Then I answered. "What do you want?" His voice was casual, careless. "Just checking in. You disappeared. I needed space." "You always were dramatic," he said. "Listen, things are going well. Real well." I clenched my jaw. "Good for you." "Isla says you won't answer her messages," he added. "I blocked her." Silence stretched. "That's childish." "No," I said coldly. "What you did was childish. I'm just done." "You're really holding on to this, huh?" "I'm holding on to my dignity," I replied. He scoffed. "Whatever. Don't expect anything from us." "I don't." I ended the call, my hands shaking. "You okay?" Lena asked. "I will be," I said. Days blurred into weeks. Weeks into months. My company grew faster than I ever imagined. We secured massive contracts, expanded operations, and built influence. Every night, exhaustion pulled at my bones, but I refused to slow down. One evening, I stared at the city lights and murmured, "This is what they'll never understand." I didn't break. I evolved. Lena joined me. "You're not the same man." "No," I said. "And I never will be again." Still, the pain lingered. Some nights, memories attacked without warning. Isla's laughter. Ryan's boyish grin. The family I thought I had. One night, I slammed my fist into the desk and shouted, "Why wasn't I enough?" Lena stepped closer. "You were. They just couldn't see it." I shook my head. "They saw what they wanted. And I was convenient." "You were loyal," she said. "And they mistook that for weakness." I exhaled slowly. "They won't make that mistake again." Months later, I heard through quiet channels that Ryan had launched a company of his own. "He's copying your model," Lena said, scrolling through reports. I laughed softly. "Of course he is. Do you want to stop him?" "No," I said. "Let him think he's winning." She raised an eyebrow. "That's dangerous." "So is underestimating me," I replied. Every step I took was careful. I stayed hidden. I let my company operate through layers of ownership and shell brands. I remained invisible. One evening, Lena said, "Your company now owns partial shares in 3 firms Ryan depends on." I looked up. "Good. We can take control anytime." "Not yet." "Why wait?" "Because timing is everything," I said quietly. My birthday passed unnoticed. Holidays came and went. I stayed buried in work. I became sharper. Colder. Stronger. One late night, Lena found me staring at an old photo of Isla and me. "Why keep that?" she asked gently. "To remember who I was," I said. "So I never become him again." She studied me. "Do you still love her?" I hesitated. I loved the idea of her. Not the truth. "That's growth," she said. "No," I replied. "That's survival." One rainy afternoon, my phone buzzed again. Isla. I stared at the screen for a long time before answering. "Hello?" Her voice cracked instantly. "Please, don't hang up." I said nothing. I made a mistake, she whispered. I know I did. Every day feels wrong without you. Then why stay? I asked quietly. I'm trapped, she admitted. Ryan isn't the man I thought he was. I closed my eyes. Neither are you. Please, she begged. I just want to talk. There's nothing left to say. I loved you. Love doesn't betray, I replied. Silence filled the line. I hope you find peace, I added softly. Then I hung up. My hands trembled. My heart ached. But I didn't regret it. Lena watched me. You're healing. I'm learning, I said. Another year passed. My company dominated markets Ryan only dreamed of entering. My influence spread quietly, patiently. One evening, Lena said, your name is starting to circulate. People are asking who owns everything. Let them ask, I replied. Not yet. You're waiting for something. Yes, I said. The perfect moment. That moment arrived when Lena walked into my office, eyes shining. Ryan's company is in serious debt, she said. If the banks pull support, he's finished. And Isla? She's miserable, Lena answered. Constant fights. Financial stress. Public pressure. I leaned back slowly. Good. You sound cold. I'm controlled, I corrected. Silence settled between us. What will you do? She finally asked. I stood and walked toward the window. Nothing. Nothing? Not yet, I repeated. They'll receive an invitation soon. To what? I turned to her, a calm smile forming. Their wedding. Her eyes widened. You're serious. Completely, I said. That's where this story ends. She studied me. And you? That's where my life begins. The silence stretched, heavy and full of meaning. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt peace. Not happiness. Not joy. But peace. Because I wasn't chasing revenge anymore. I was waiting for justice. And justice always arrives exactly on time. I hadn't planned on checking social media, but curiosity gnawed at me. Ryan had posted a photo of him and Isla, rings on their fingers, smiles plastered for the camera. I stared at the screen. Perfect, I muttered. So perfect. And so fake. Lena leaned over my shoulder. Looks happy. Looks happy, I echoed bitterly. But happiness doesn't survive what's coming. They don't know it yet, she said. No, I agreed. And they won't. Not until it's too late. For weeks, I monitored them quietly. Ryan was struggling to keep his new business afloat. He bragged publicly, but the truth leaked slowly, missed payments, angry clients, borrowed funds he couldn't cover. Isla, meanwhile, posted happy selfies with him, but her eyes sometimes betrayed her. A flicker of fear, of doubt. Of regret. One afternoon, I called Lena. Check the business filings for Ryan, I said. Already done, she replied. He's borrowing against everything. His financial statements are a mess. I smiled faintly. Good. Let it crumble naturally. I won't touch it directly. Karma does the work for me. But won't they notice you? Lena asked. Not yet, I said. Not until the wedding. Timing is everything. I spent the next days immersed in work, but my mind often wandered back to them. I imagined the cracks growing in their engagement. I imagined the tension, the small arguments that would become explosions. It didn't take long. Ryan called his fiancée one evening. Did you talk to the lawyer about the contract? He asked. Isla's voice wavered. I tried, but there are issues. Some clauses could ruin us. Ruins us? He sounded annoyed. We're fine. Everything is fine. Stop panicking. I'm not panicking, she snapped. But I can't ignore the risk. What if we lose everything? Ryan scoffed. Lose everything? You're dramatic. Just trust me. I can't just trust you blindly, she said. Not after last time. Not after. Not after what? He demanded. She hesitated. Never mind. I smiled faintly, watching the messages Lena forwarded to me. Small cracks, just like I planned. The seeds of doubt were growing, and I hadn't done a thing. Patience, I whispered to myself. Everything falls eventually. Weeks later, Ryan's business partner stormed out of a meeting. You promised results, he shouted. I can't work under these conditions. You're bankrupting us. Ryan's face was red. I said I've got it under control. You've got nothing, the partner replied. And your fiancée, she's barely covering for your mistakes. I laughed quietly. Exactly. I could almost hear Isla pacing her apartment. The cheerful photos and posts couldn't hide the stress. Their relationship was fraying at the edges, and I didn't have to touch a finger. Lena leaned back in her chair. They're cracking faster than I expected. Good, I said. Let them fight. Let them feel the consequences of their choices. But sometimes, late at night, doubt crept in. I wondered if I had become cold. Ruthless. I shook my head. No. I was just awake. Awake to the reality they created for themselves. One evening, Lena handed me a report. Isla's spending patterns are erratic. She's covering for Ryan again, but barely. I took the papers, reading quickly. She's panicking, I said softly. She's scared, Lena corrected. Yes, I whispered. And she has no idea I'm watching. I couldn't help picturing the wedding. Their perfect smiles hiding the tension, the anxiety, the crumbling foundation beneath the glitter. I felt a dark thrill. Not revenge for revenge's sake, but satisfaction. Justice. Karma. Do you ever feel guilty? Lena asked one night. Watching them fall apart? Not guilty, I said. Not anymore. Only relieved. I survived. They didn't think I could. They underestimated me. And now, they're learning the hard way. We continued monitoring them silently. Every missed deadline, every unpaid invoice, every tiny argument reached my ears. I imagined Isla yelling at Ryan. Why didn't you handle this? She would shout. I tried, he would reply. It's not my fault. And Lena and I would exchange glances, silently noting each fracture in their perfect image. One night, I caught a glimpse of Ryan on a video call, panicked. I need more funds. I can't deliver, he said. Isla's voice trembled. We can't borrow more. We're already in debt. You promised stability. I know, he said, desperate. Just trust me. Please. She paused. I don't know if I can. I leaned back in my chair, a cold satisfaction settling in my chest. Good. Let them feel the weight of their decisions. Lena spoke softly. You're really patient. I have to be, I replied. Rage would ruin this. Control is the key. I wait, silently. But every move I make, every action I take, it's precise. The cracks weren't limited to finances. I noticed the little things, Isla snapping at servers, Ryan drinking too much during business dinners, arguments over trivial details, sleepless nights spent hiding failures. One morning, Lena said, Ryan's losing credibility in his network. He's panicking, making bad deals. I nodded. Let him. Every wrong move weakens him. And Isla? She's stressed, overcompensating. She's fraying. We stayed silent for a while, watching, planning. Months of preparation had brought me here, to this point where I could sit back and let their carefully constructed lives crumble naturally. Late at night, I looked at my reflection. I've changed, I whispered. I'm not the man who cried over betrayal. I'm the man who waited. Who survived. Who will rise at the right time. Lena sat beside me. And when you do, it'll be perfect. They won't see it coming. I know, I said, voice steady. They think they have control. They think they've won. But the wedding, that's where the truth hits. You're going to walk in as the owner of everything, Lena said softly. I nodded, feeling a chill thrill. Exactly. Every empire, every contract, every company they depend on, they'll be mine. And they'll see who they crossed. Will it be enough? It has to be, I said. Not for me. For justice. For truth. For the life they tried to destroy. The weeks passed. Every public post, every business announcement, every celebration they tried to display only revealed more cracks. Tension. Panic. Mismanagement. Lies exposed slowly through their own mistakes. And I stayed in the shadows, silent, patient, invisible. Sometimes, I whispered aloud, you wanted to play house with betrayal. Fine. Let's see who really owns everything. Lena smiled faintly. They'll never see it coming. They won't, I said. Not until the wedding. And by then, they'll have nothing left to hide behind. I stared out the office window, city lights reflecting in my eyes. Patience, I murmured. Everything unfolds exactly as it should. Even in the silence, I could feel it, the moment approaching when I would finally walk into their world, calm, composed, and unstoppable. And I would make them pay. Not with violence. Not with yelling. But with something far sharper, the truth. The truth that betrayed love and family could never survive against someone who refused to be broken. The cracks in their perfect engagement were widening. I could see it. Feel it. Smell it. And I was ready. The invitation arrived on a quiet afternoon, sealed in thick white paper, decorated with gold lines and fake elegance. I stared at my name printed neatly across the front. I laughed. Lena looked up from her laptop. What's funny? They invited me, I said, handing her the envelope. Her eyes widened. To their wedding? Yes, I replied. To witness their happiness. She scoffed. That's cruel. No, I said calmly. That's perfect. I opened the envelope slowly, reading every word. We invite you to celebrate the union of Ryan and Isla. Celebrate, I repeated softly. Lena watched my face. Are you okay? I've never been better, I said. And I meant it. She crossed her arms. So this is it? Yes, I replied. This is where everything ends. And begins, she added. I nodded. And begins. We spent the rest of the day planning. Every document, every contract, every piece of evidence was reviewed again and again. Nothing could go wrong. They're desperate, Lena said, scrolling through financial records. Ryan's company is bleeding money. Good, I said. Desperation makes people careless. And Isla? She's pretending, I replied. But fear leaks through the cracks. Lena leaned back. This will destroy them. I exhaled slowly. No. It will reveal them. That night, I sat alone, the invitation resting on my desk. My fingers traced my name printed in black ink. For a moment, memories flooded in: Isla's laughter, Ryan's childish jokes, the family dinners, the promises. Was any of it real? I whispered. Silence answered me. I poured myself a glass of water, staring at my reflection. I loved you, I murmured. Both of you. More than myself. The memory of Isla's voice echoed in my mind. Promise me we'll always be together. I promised, I said quietly. You broke it. Sleep didn't come easily. My mind replayed every moment, every sign I had ignored. By dawn, exhaustion pulled me under, but the calm inside me remained. The next morning, Lena knocked lightly before entering. Your legal team is ready. Good, I said. Call them in. They arrived shortly after, sharp suits, serious faces, quiet efficiency. We reviewed every clause, every possible outcome. If they challenge ownership, one lawyer said, we have overwhelming proof. They won't, I replied. They'll be too shocked. Lena smirked. Shock is powerful. And silence, I added. We rehearsed everything. My words. My timing. My posture. Nothing would be left to chance. One lawyer hesitated. Do you want to expose everything publicly? Yes, I said firmly. Truth needs witnesses. Later that day, I received a message from Ryan. You coming? I stared at it for a moment, then typed back, of course. His reply came instantly. Good. Wouldn't be the same without you. I laughed softly. Oh, it will, I whispered. Lena raised an eyebrow. What did he say? He thinks I'm still his foolish brother, I replied. Let him, she said. Days passed quickly. The wedding grew closer. The tension thickened. Every news update, every leaked report showed Ryan sinking deeper into financial chaos. Isla's smile looked more strained in every photo. They're barely holding it together, Lena said one evening. Exactly where I want them, I replied. Still, at night, doubt sometimes whispered. I wondered if this would truly bring closure. If exposing them would heal anything. One night, I confessed, what if I still feel empty after? Lena studied me. Then at least you'll be free. Free, I repeated. Yes, she said. Free from their lies. That word settled into my chest. Freedom. That was what I wanted. Not revenge. Not humiliation. Just freedom. The day before the wedding, I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my suit. The man staring back at me barely resembled the one they betrayed. My eyes were sharper. My posture steadier. My presence heavier. Do I look ready? I asked Lena. She smiled faintly. You look unstoppable. The venue was grand, chosen to impress. A palace of glass and gold. I arrived early, slipping into a private room reserved for VIP guests. The hum of voices echoed through the walls. Laughter. Music. Celebration. They have no idea, I whispered. Lena checked her watch. 10 minutes. My heart beat calmly. Too calmly. You're not nervous, she asked. I already lived through the worst night of my life, I replied. This is nothing. A staff member knocked. Sir, they're ready. Good, I said, standing. As I walked toward the hall, memories tried to surface, but I pushed them down. I couldn't afford hesitation. Not now. The doors loomed before me. Through the glass, I could see guests seated, flowers arranged, cameras flashing. Ryan stood at the altar, proud, confident. Isla stood beside him, dressed in white, beautiful, and hollow. They look happy, Lena murmured. They look prepared, I corrected. Not happy. She placed a hand on my shoulder. Whatever happens, remember who you are. I do, I said quietly. The music swelled. Applause echoed. The ceremony began. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. The vows began. Ryan's voice rang through the hall. I promise to love and protect you, always. I closed my eyes. Liar. Isla's voice followed, trembling slightly. I promise to stand by you, no matter what. I inhaled slowly. Weak. Lena whispered, now. I nodded. The doors opened. The sound cut through the hall like a blade. Conversation stopped. Heads turned. A ripple of confusion spread. I stepped forward, calm, composed, unstoppable. Whispers exploded. That's him. Isn't that her ex? Why is he here? Ryan froze. Isla's face drained of color. I walked down the aisle slowly, every step echoing. My heartbeat remained steady. Ryan whispered, "What the hell are you doing?" I stopped in front of him. "Attending your wedding." His jaw tightened. "You weren't supposed to be here?" I finished. "Oh, I was. You invited me." Isla stared at me, tears forming. "Please." "Not yet," I said softly. The guests murmured. Cameras flashed. I turned to face them. "I won't take much of your time," I said calmly. "But there's something you all deserve to know." The hall fell silent. Ryan hissed, "Stop this." "I will," I replied. "After the truth." Lena stepped beside me, handing me a folder. Ryan's eyes widened. "Relax," I said gently. "This is just the beginning." Isla shook her head. "You can't do this." "I can," I said. "And I will." Silence thickened. The moment stretched. The truth waited. And I smiled. Because everything they built on lies was about to collapse. And I would finally be free. The moment I stepped into the grand hall, the air seemed to shift. Guests turned, whispers rippling like waves across a still lake. I could see their curiosity, their confusion, the subtle tension creeping into every smile. Ryan froze mid-step. Isla's veil quivered. I thought you weren't coming," Ryan stammered, his face paling. "I am," I said calmly, my voice carrying through the hall. "And I've brought something you both need to see." Isla clutched her bouquet, whispering, "Please, don't." "I already warned you," I interrupted softly. "Not yet, Isla. Not yet." I walked forward, every step measured, deliberate. Lena followed quietly, carrying the folder with the contracts, documents, and proof of ownership that would unravel everything they had built. The murmurs grew louder. "Is that him? Her ex? He owns what now?" I stopped a few feet from the altar, Ryan glaring at me like I was a ghost. "You look nervous," I said. "Don't," he began. "Shoo," I replied, holding up a hand. "This isn't about anger. This is about truth. About justice. About the consequences of your choices." Isla's lips trembled. You can't do this in front of everyone." "Why not?" I asked softly. "You made your choices in front of me." "In front of me, Ryan. You betrayed me, and now, the world will see it too." The guests shifted uneasily, sensing tension like a storm about to break. Cameras clicked. Phones lifted. Eyes widened. Ryan's hands trembled. You can't touch my company. You don't. I already own it, I said quietly, my words precise and deadly. Every contract you signed, every partnership you depended on, every company you claimed as your own, now belongs to me. The silence that followed was absolute. Guests held their breath. Some whispered, but no one moved. Isla's knees buckled slightly. No, that's impossible. I opened the folder slowly, letting the papers slide onto the podium. Financial statements. Contracts. Ownership certificates. Legal documents proving my name at the top of every company, every property, every stake Ryan had used to build his empire. See? I said softly. Everything you built was never yours. Ryan's face twisted in disbelief. This isn't real. You can't. I can, I said firmly. And I did. While you were busy betraying me, I was building. Every late night, every sacrifice, every secret plan, it all led here. Isla's hands flew to her mouth. We thought that I would stay weak? I finished for her. That I would forgive? That I would vanish quietly while you laughed at my trust? She shook her head, tears spilling. I didn't know. You knew enough to lie, I said, stepping closer. Enough to betray. Enough to ruin me. Ryan's fists clenched. You can't do this in front of everyone. You're embarrassing us. Embarrassing? I asked, voice calm but cutting. No, Ryan. I'm revealing the truth. The embarrassment is yours. For lying. For stealing. For thinking you could outsmart me. Guests murmured. Some took a step back. A few whispered to each other, shock evident in their eyes. Isla looked around, panicked. Please, stop. This isn't the way. I shook my head. The way was your choice. You made this. Every secret you kept, every betrayal, led us here. And now, you'll face it. Openly. Publicly. I opened another folder, revealing contracts that controlled Ryan's personal assets, the properties he had used to impress her, the loans he had guaranteed. Everything you thought was yours? I said softly. Now belongs to me. Every business, every house, every asset, everything. Ryan paled, his confidence cracking. This isn't fair. Fair? I echoed, shaking my head slowly. Fair would have been loyalty. Fair would have been honesty. Fair would have been love. You chose betrayal instead. Isla sank to the floor, sobbing. I never meant. You never meant, I said, voice steady, cutting through the hall. But you did. And meaning doesn't undo consequences. The guests stared, captivated. Some whispered quietly. Others stared in shock. The couple that had seemed untouchable was crumbling before their eyes. Ryan's voice cracked. How? You underestimate me, I said softly. You always have. And that was your mistake. Isla looked up, tears streaming. Please. I loved you. I still. Love? I asked, bitter. Love didn't stop you. Love didn't make you faithful. Love didn't prevent betrayal. Love isn't enough when trust is destroyed. Ryan shook, his face pale and sweating. You can't take everything. Not everything. I smiled faintly. I already have. And I didn't even lift a finger to fight you directly. You built this house of cards yourselves. I simply waited. The room was silent. The music had stopped. Guests were frozen, unsure whether to step forward or flee. Isla whispered, What do we do now? I stepped closer, voice soft but unyielding. You face the truth. Publicly. Everyone here sees who you really are. And I walk away. Free. Strong. Unbroken. Ryan's hands trembled at his sides. This, you can't. You already lost, I said calmly. I just made it visible. Lena handed me the final documents, evidence of debts, contracts, and proof of transfer of ownership. It's done, she said quietly. I nodded. Perfect. I turned to the guests. This isn't a story of hate, I said, voice calm, commanding. This is a story of truth. And the truth always surfaces. Even when we try to bury it. Even when we hide behind lies. I stepped back, letting the weight of my words settle over the room. Isla's face crumpled, sobs echoing. Ryan's posture collapsed, shoulders shaking. The murmurs of guests rose, questions whispered, who knew? How did he? I ignored them. I didn't need to explain. My presence alone was proof. I looked at Lena, who nodded. It's time, she whispered. I walked toward the exit, calm, composed, and unstoppable. The whispers followed me like shadows. Ryan's voice called after me, hoarse. This isn't over. I didn't turn. It is, I said softly. For me. For truth. For justice. For life. Isla's sobs grew louder. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Too late, I replied quietly. Guests stared, some in awe, some in shock, some in disbelief. Cameras flashed, but I didn't look at them. I didn't need their approval. I walked out of the hall, the night air cool against my skin. I inhaled slowly, tasting freedom. Behind me, the world they had tried to control collapsed. Every secret, every lie, every betrayal exposed. And for the first time since that night of betrayal, I felt whole. Not happy. Not joyful. But free. I had survived. I had risen. And I had reclaimed everything. I walked away, silent but triumphant. Because I was no longer the man they could hurt. I was the man they underestimated. And they would never forget it. The morning after the wedding, I woke up in my penthouse overlooking the city I had conquered quietly, patiently, and deliberately. Silence filled the space, but it wasn't empty, it was calm, full of purpose. Lena was already at the office, sending final notices and confirming the transfer of ownership documents. I smiled faintly. Everything settled? Yes, she replied. Your empire is yours. Every piece. I leaned back, staring out the window. It feels strange. Not victory exactly. More like relief. Relief is better than rage, Lena said softly. I nodded. I thought I wanted revenge. But I didn't. I wanted justice. And I have it. The phone rang. Caller ID, Isla. I stared at it for a long moment. My hand hovered over the screen. You going to answer? Lena asked quietly. I shook my head. No. Not today. Maybe never. I don't need apologies. I need peace. I let it ring until it stopped. Voicemail filled the space, please. I never meant to hurt you. I'm so sorry. I exhaled slowly. Words don't fix what's broken. Lena put a hand on my shoulder. Then don't let them define you. I won't, I said. The news was already spreading quietly. Ryan's business collapsed under its own weight. Creditors called, clients withdrew, Partnerships dissolved. Isla was isolated. The world they had tried to impress with lies was gone, replaced with the truth. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile publicly. That wasn't necessary. Silence was more powerful. Let them feel the emptiness without me raising my voice. One evening, I received a text from an old friend, heard about Ryan. Crazy. Are you okay? I typed back simply, I'm better than okay. Better than okay. That was true. Weeks passed. I rebuilt routines, strengthened my company, and traveled when I needed space. For the first time in years, my life belonged entirely to me. One night, Lena brought me a cup of coffee. Do you ever think about them? Sometimes, I admitted. But not to hurt myself. To remind myself what I survived. A smile flickered on her lips. You've changed. Yes, I said quietly. I'm not the man they betrayed. Not anymore. And I won't be. The phone buzzed again. Another message from Isla. I see everything now. Please. I hope you find happiness. I stared at it. For a long moment, I didn't reply. Then I typed, I already have. It wasn't cruel. It wasn't spiteful. It was truth. I walked through my office late at night, reviewing plans for expansion, new projects, and partnerships. Every contract, every deal was mine because I had earned it, not through deception, but through hard work, vision, and patience. Lena came in quietly. People are starting to ask who you are. Not just in business, but socially. Everyone wants to know the story behind the man who took nothing but walked away with everything. I laughed softly. They'll never know the half of it. And that's fine. Let the story remain mine to tell. Silence settled again. Not emptiness, but contentment. One afternoon, I received a visit from a former mentor. I heard what you did, he said. I've never seen someone handle betrayal like that. I survived, I replied. No, he corrected gently. You thrived. You rose when everyone expected you to fall. That's rare. That's remarkable. I felt a quiet warmth. Thank you. But it wasn't just me. I had help. And I had patience. That's everything. The mentor smiled. You're not just wealthy now. You're free. Yes, I said softly. Free. Sometimes, at night, memories came unbidden. I saw Isla laughing, Ryan's grin, family dinners that felt like home. The pain still lingered, but it was lighter. Distance, control, and time had transformed it from a wound to a lesson. Lena noticed. You're softer than you were, she said. No, I corrected. I'm steady. I've learned what matters. And I've let go of what doesn't. Another message arrived, this time from a distant cousin. Saw the news about Ryan. Crazy how things turned out. Are you all right? I smiled faintly and typed back, better than all right. Months later, I was hosting a small dinner for close colleagues, celebrating the company's growth and my freedom. Laughter echoed through the room. Wine flowed. Success was tangible, but it was the peace I felt that mattered most. Lena raised her glass. To patience, and to never underestimating the quiet ones. I clinked my glass with hers. To surviving. And rising. The room echoed with laughter and agreement. And for the first time in years, I felt truly untethered. The past no longer haunted me. It was a reminder, a teacher, not a cage. One night, I walked along the balcony, city lights sparkling below. My phone buzzed again, another message from Isla, pleading, apologizing, perhaps even begging. I didn't open it. Instead, I whispered to the night, I'm free. And I'm building a life they can't touch. The wind carried away the last fragments of anger and betrayal. Only calm remained. I thought about Ryan, about Isla, about the family I thought I had. And I realized I didn't need them anymore. I had myself. I had my work. I had my peace. I had risen. One evening, Lena found me staring out the window. Do you miss it? I shook my head. No. I don't miss being naive. I don't miss being betrayed. I don't miss trusting the wrong people. Then what do you feel? She asked. Hope, I said quietly. For myself. For the life I choose. For the people I will choose to let in. But never again will I surrender control. Weeks turned into months. The world moved on. Ryan vanished from social media. Isla's posts grew silent. Their empire was gone, their lives destabilized, and I remained untouched. But I didn't gloat. That wasn't necessary. I didn't need validation from the people who had betrayed me. One evening, I sat alone in my office, surrounded by the fruits of my labor. A simple thought struck me, calm and certain, I had survived. I had endured. I had risen. And that was enough. I picked up my phone and typed a note to myself, never again give anyone power over your trust. Never again surrender your peace. Build. Protect. Rise. I read it silently, absorbing the truth. Lena came in quietly, carrying 2 cups of coffee. You really have changed, she said softly. Yes, I replied. And it's permanent. The night stretched long. Outside, the city sparkled with possibilities. Inside, I felt whole. Not perfect. Not unscarred. But free. I had walked through betrayal, heartbreak, and ruin. I had faced the people I loved and trusted most, only to discover they weren't worthy. And I had survived. More than survived, I had thrived. The lessons remained. The memories remained. But they no longer controlled me. For the first time, I could say without hesitation. I was the owner of my life. I was the owner of my peace. I was the owner of everything that truly mattered. And that was more than enough. Months passed, and the city moved around me, oblivious to the chaos that had once consumed my life. I walked through the streets with a quiet confidence, a calm I had never known before. Lena joined me for coffee one morning. Do you ever think about them? She asked casually. Sometimes, I admitted, but only to remember who I was, and who I've become. She smiled faintly. You've grown. Hardened, but grown. I nodded. Betrayal teaches lessons you can't learn any other way. I've learned mine. We walked through the park, watching children play, couples laughing. Normal life. I felt an odd serenity. A life I could never have imagined while trapped in heartbreak. You look lighter, Lena said. I am, I replied. I don't carry their mistakes anymore. Their lies, their betrayal, they're theirs. Not mine. She sipped her coffee. And Isla? Ryan? Ghosts, I said quietly. Faded into lessons. I don't need to hate them. I just remember. Weeks later, I walked into my office to find my assistant grinning. Mr. Farid, another contract just came through. Your company is expanding faster than projected. I leaned back, smiling faintly. Good. Let it grow. Let it thrive. Everyone's asking about the man who rose quietly, she said. They want to know the story. They'll never know the full story, I said softly. And that's fine. Some truths are for yourself only. That night, I called my parents. They were older now, quieter and wiser. I wanted to tell you, I said. I'm finally stable. Finally okay. My mother's voice trembled. We're proud of you, son. You survived everything. I did, I said softly. And I grew stronger because of it. My father cleared his throat. You've become someone we couldn't even imagine. Your strength, your patience, it's extraordinary. I smiled. I learned from the worst teachers. The city skyline stretched before me that evening. Lights flickered on the water, reflections dancing like memories I could finally watch without pain. Lena appeared at my side. You ever think about starting over? A new city, a new chapter? I've already started over, I said. But a new city, maybe someday. For now, I have what I want here. Peace. Control. Life. She nodded. And happiness? I'll find it, I said, eyes distant. But happiness isn't about people who hurt you. It's about choosing yourself every time. Some nights, I still dreamed briefly of their smiles, their laughter, the warmth that once felt like home. But the dreams no longer cut me. They reminded me only that I had survived, and I had risen. One afternoon, I received an unexpected visitor, an old mentor, someone who had seen me through the early struggles. Farid, he said, smiling. You did it. You really did it. I survived, I said. And now I thrive. No, he corrected. You didn't just survive. You mastered yourself. You reclaimed your life. And you did it quietly, without ruining yourself. I chuckled softly. I learned that silence is powerful. Patience is stronger than rage. And time always reveals truth. He nodded. Some people never understand that. They only learn when it's too late. Exactly, I said. And I've waited long enough to see that lesson unfold. Weeks turned into months. I established charitable foundations, expanded my company internationally, and built a life where trust was earned, not given freely. Every decision reminded me that the past, though painful, had shaped me into a man capable of rising from ashes. Lena and I often stayed late in the office, planning, strategizing, laughing quietly at the small victories. Do you ever miss them? She asked one evening. No, I said softly. I don't miss the betrayal. I don't miss the pain. I don't even miss the love that wasn't real. But I remember. And remembering reminds me who I am. She smiled, satisfied. You're at peace. Yes, I said. Peace is enough. For now, it's more than enough. One night, I sat on the balcony, overlooking the city lights. The wind brushed against my face, carrying the smell of rain and possibility. I thought of Ryan, of Isla, of the life I had once imagined. The life that never came to be. And I didn't feel anger, not even sorrow. Only understanding. Life wasn't about revenge. Life was about surviving, learning, and building something stronger. The phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. Congratulations. I heard about everything. You're unstoppable. I smiled faintly. Thank you. No need for more. The acknowledgement was enough. My power wasn't in others' recognition. It was in my own calm certainty. Weeks later, I visited my parents again. I feel settled, I said quietly. My son, my father said, you've become a man we are proud of. Not just because of your success, but because of your heart. I blinked, surprised. Heart? Yes, my mother said, holding my hand. You could have let bitterness consume you. You chose strength and calm instead. I swallowed hard. I had to. For myself. And now, my father asked. Now, I said, looking out at the horizon, I can finally live. Without fear. Without resentment. Without looking back at what was stolen. I have everything I need. That evening, Lena and I sat quietly in my office, sipping wine. Do you ever think you'll forgive them? She asked. I already have, I said softly. Not for them. For me. Forgiveness isn't for them, it's for my own freedom. She nodded. And you are free. Yes, I replied, more free than I ever imagined. The city below sparkled, alive and moving. I felt like I was finally part of it, not just a survivor hiding in the shadows. One last message arrived, this time from a distant friend. You've been through hell. How do you feel? I typed back simply, whole. Because I was. Whole. Free. Alive. I didn't need closure from anyone else. I didn't need apologies, acknowledgments, or explanations. My life, my company, my choices, and my peace were mine entirely. The world could continue without Ryan and Isla's illusions. I had nothing left to prove to them, only to myself. One night, Lena leaned on my shoulder as we watched the city glow. You finally look happy, she said. I am, I replied softly. Not because the past is erased, but because it doesn't control me anymore. She smiled. Then what's next? I thought for a moment, watching the lights flicker. Next. I live. I build. I love wisely. I trust carefully. And I never, ever let anyone take my life from me again. She nodded, understanding. And for the first time in years, I truly believed it. I was free. The storm had passed. The ruins of betrayal were behind me. And ahead was everything I could choose. The calm after the storm. And I finally had it.